join back in our special live episode around the table for the first time ever.
We've done that bit.
I was trying to do it in time.
Thank you very much for joining us back as we begin part 2. Last episode, the group had collected the items they needed to collect and set off on their journey to Lake Sif with intentions of completing a ritual to allow Dante to heal, not just kill with his fire. As they began the journey, it was pretty easy enough, but keeping an eye out after hearing from some guards that wyverns have still been pushing further than their normal territories, and confirming a bit of that as you rested down for the evening and saw the signs of not hunting, but maybe territory marking and other such things. You found a nice mine that was all boarded up and abandoned to camp in, and you are able to all knock off long rests.
Okay, I get my health back. Yay.
Yeah, I can't believe you lost health. What a loser.
I'm going to cut you.
You might enjoy it.
So will I.
Yeah. So, the morning greets you with a crisp chill in this cold and already kind of dark and dingy mine room. Almost like the cold air holds between your armour and your clothes. You can almost see, not inside the cave, but almost as I sort of peek out, there's a low level of mist that seems to be settling on the mountainside in the morning. How it really
like, the mist is outside, not
yeah,
inside.
Like as you sort of peek out, you can see that it's all misty as it's misty mountains.
Yeah.
It's that morning dew and mist.
Mm.
And
so I think
you are able to
have a quick look before I
maybe a second.
come out. $11.
Okay, so Aileen, as you step out and take a look, the mist is quite high. Like, you're maybe talking 10 foot. It's still misty, and as you look up, you just see that mist barrier.
Okay.
You are a little bit up the mountainside, so it's probably not floor level, but you're sort of at that point where it's obscuring sky level from here, but also giving you cover from
I
anybody
am
that's on
going
the
to
sky.
come out of the cave, but I'm going to do it quite slowly and carefully. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a stealth there.
As you exit, a gentle breeze seems to drift down from the north.
19.
I'm going to assume that most of us are staying back until we get given the all clear to come out.
Yeah, let Lenny do
Olive's
that.
still asleep.
Olive needs to prepare for spells today.
Well, it does need to be.
But yeah, I would sort of 19 stealth. I would sort of sneak out very quietly, take a look around, check that there's still no odd tracks on the ground, that nothing's been outside the cave that night. And then just if everything's all clear, I'd give the guys thumbs up to come out.
Okay. Looking around, no signs of anything. You've got some pretty good cover with the mist. Hey, Lenny, with that high perception, there is almost a soft scent on the air. Almost of that burning wood that makes you think that maybe somebody else camped, not like here,
But close by.
within the vicinity. And again, you do know there are rangers out here moving. Like the city has rangers placing stuff. They would be moving alone and probably would rest up and have their own camps. But you almost just with that high roll, it's in the air.
Okay, I would keep my voice very low and just warn the guys, let's keep it down. And I think there's someone else somewhere.
Remind me, wyverns, do they produce fire?
Not classically.
Okay.
It's more like they have like a poison stinger, don't they?
They have a poison stinger.
You guys fought one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, they have a poison stinger and their saliva's acidic.
Also, I am a wyvern rider.
So you should know.
Yeah, so you know it's mostly poison. Is their main method of attack.
You may ride wyverns, but do you ride Winonas?
It's not one of them, right?
None of these jokes were mine.
I enjoyed that.
The chaos is spreading.
That's it. I quit. I quit. That's it. I resigned D&D.
Okay, so are you prepared? All spells sorted and everything?
Yeah.
Is there anything anybody wants to cast or prep before you set off again for the next day?
Don't think so.
No. I'm imagining we're just going back down onto the path that we were following. I know it's not a real path, but back down onto the floor level.
As you're moving down, Ichi,
Oh no.
give me an animal handling.
Oh no. What?
This is the first time you've taken Woofus out to sea.
Oh no.
He doesn't know he has to be quiet in the morning. He normally doesn't.
Woofus, please. Animal handling.
Yeah, so you almost, as
Okay,
you're sort of
+3.
prepping quietly,
+3.
Can I help him?
I'm not going to say not in the initial, because as you're sort of getting ready, you're over there packing your stuff, there's like tugging and a at his ankle and
Woofus.
barking and basically asking for food like he would do this time in the morning.
Oh,
Can I help him now?
8.
Well, you do notice, almost in like, you go like, wait a second, and Woofus takes that's playing and drops into like a...
No, Woofus.
You would notice this happening over.
Woofus.
Gonna come over there, just be like, sausage.
So give me an animal handling with advantage.
I'm gonna use yours.
Well, we notice this?
And mine rolled a 5 again. Mine rolled a 5 again.
And I got a nat 20 on mine. So
So they don't like immediately, they don't like go quiet or whatever, but they're attention fixed.
I'm going to get over to him. I'm breaking up the sausage. And effectively, I'm going to try. Okay, yes, I know it's not. I guess you can want to add it time, whatever, but it's effectively using the heel tactic. So it's I'm gonna put half of the sausage into a lower pocket. So, and then a little bit, I'm going to give him a tithe and then just have him come near, stay near me. I'm just going to keep saying, heel Woofus.
So I'm going to say it doesn't count as towards training, but with the nat 20, it will persist for the day.
Christian.
Brilliant.
And you do manage to calm down as again you brought a very untrained young dog into the field.
All right, I've got another 2 sausages for me.
Is there any sort of specific, now that you've sort of definitely left civilization, you are now way out, and you know from your knowledge of the map that there isn't anything out in this direction until you get to Motoren, which is way the other side of it's the mountain pass, basically.
There's something I want to be practicing, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
It's a really simple thing. I'm probably just use rope for the time being. I'm going to use it as a lead for the dog.
Okay.
And I'm just wanting, so obviously he's got kind of keeping him on heel, but just having him used to being on that, so he's not going to just suddenly peg it when he sees a deer and then have a fucking wyvern jump on him.
Yep.
I'm still scouting ahead. I'm still doing that.
Okay, drop me some survivals or perceptions.
I don't think I'll be able to do much more, which my perception will not be
19.
good anyways.
17.
Natural
Oh.
20 for a 26.
Nice.
And then you were there and you just saved the day. You all became level 20 and everyone was happy.
Oh, hell yeah, level up.
End of live session. No. Okay, so you begin your travel. You set off out. The first hour or so, there isn't much to see. The mist is very low. Everything is 10, 15 feet in front of you. And you're moving fairly carefully so as not to come up on anything without hearing them first. And with the high perceptions, and especially from Ichi, you are definitely sort of... For Ichi, there is a lot more movement, but it's the smaller things. You get the... Again, animals know how and when to move. they've been being hunted. You get the impression that this isn't, wyverns were pushed out in the last month, because the animals here are already shifting tactics to adjust to the new major predator in the area. So yeah, there's lots more. A few deer but appear out of the mist and run off in another direction. There's a few small animals. You can hear birds and other tweeting and stuff. And as we sort of get towards the end of the hour and the fog begins to clear, the day looks fairly nice, and you're not seeing any signs of threat.
Okay.
With everything that's kind of been happening, as we are kind of like going out and we're seeing various forms of wildlife and obviously all these different caves and the sightings of wyverns and everything, Ichi is also going to start looking around for any signs of infection out here.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Drop me a perception.
Oh no, the other end. That's an 8 total.
Not seeing any signs.
I'm locked into everything, and I'm like, what about this specific thing? Oh, a flower.
Yeah. I think it's more just you not seeing. There isn't any sort of signs of it. Everything does seem quite natural and normal.
Good.
It has to be done.
So when your neck gets stiff, your neck gets stiff.
Yeah.
I will fucking crack it for you.
Okay.
So,
not on camera.
Yeah.
Don't need that evidence.
The morning.
We have.
Yeah. The morning passes pretty uneventfully, and you're making pretty good time and headway. You're actually thinking for Eleni, as you sort of stop just before midday to sort of gather your surroundings, you're thinking maybe only that third day rather than like 3 and a bit. You're making good pace, and that you should probably make it there by the evening of the third day instead of it pushing over into the morning of the next. As the afternoon begins to wane, you come across a broad, flat stone outcropping that's jutting out over a dip in the landscape.
Okay.
And it's almost like, Eleni, you saw it ahead of time, and it's like, that's actually a perfect place to rest. It's lower than the land level and all those sorts of things. And as you get closer, you actually start to see old bones and some scorch marks that you don't think are fire-based. And as you get closer, it's almost like... So it's definitely not the right day for it, but you imagine if the day was clear and had been since the morning, this rock would have been baking in the sun all morning. This definitely isn't a nesting spot, but almost where something brings its food to lie and lounge and eat and rip to bits and then leaves the cart. And you can see months of this. There are scattered bones.
So when you said old bones...
I'm talking months old.
But are there any new ones?
Give me a survival as you sort of start to scan through.
18.
I'm going to drop to stealth, and I would like to take the dodge action.
Okay, let me get stealth.
I want to actually really look at these bones, see if there are any that are very recent, even if those are months and months, or there are any that
So none of them look very recent.
Okay.
Like none of them are still covered in sinew and other such things, though you know that...
They're like bleach.
Yeah. You see an old dire goat skull that's been bleached by the sun. It's been sat out this long. What did you get on your
18?
Okay.
Just to also say, if everyone's gone to where the bones are and also the meat or whatever else, as I have Rufus, I am further back.
Yeah, I would get to it first.
I think I'm the fastest one, I think. So I can, not only a little bit, but I can get to close the distance more.
Yeah.
So I am going to be at least 40 foot away.
So you guys would arrive as I'm literally hunched down, like having a look at these bones.
So Eleni taking a look, definitely like a perch that a large flying predator would use. From this position, you've got a great view out over the plains in front. You also have a very good view of threats from above, threats from the mountain. It's not a quick dive from the mountain to get to you're a chunk away from it. So it's a safe space. However, with the roll, you don't think it's been used in the past week. And Ichi, as you're sort of approaching, you're sort of looking out over the plains, in the distance, I'm talking like a good mile or two, there's the silhouette of something just gliding low. And then sort of beating, you see the wings flapping as it rises back up.
Is a wyvern actually a dragon in terms of type?
Typing. Yes, they are.
So, can I use my primeval awareness? Because that includes dragons. Sense any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiend, undead, within 1 mile of me.
Does it tell you distance?
It doesn't reveal location or number. It just says to sense whether there's any within a
I was
mile.
like, dragon? What?
No.
Someone else you're hiding? No, yeah, elemental, yeah.
Elemental.
So you get 1 ping from, elemental.
Oh, that's shit. Is it going to pick him up instead of...
Does it define what they are as well?
It just says, you can expend 1 ranger slot to sense whether any aberrations, blah, 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 dragons, elementals, are present within 1 mile of you. And it's only 1 mile, not 6, because I'm not in my favoured terrain. It says it doesn't reveal the creature's location or number.
Or number.
So you'll get...
Yeah, so I don't know how many there are.
you'll get...
So the answer
yes, there are dragons. Yes, there are elementals.
Is it that? Or I would have thought it just sounds like yes, there
Yes,
are
there's
some.
something.
Yes, there is one of these.
Because it specifies it doesn't tell you how many or what.
That's
Or how many or
What number?
what number. It doesn't
I
say
feel
what.
like it would specify.
Is it a yes, no, rather than...
Yeah, so
No,
it's
I'm going to say I agree with you.
Okay.
That
Okay.
if it was that it would specify. Why specify those things?
I think in the
and
past
not
you've
specify
actually said
or race?
there is elementals and there's
I tend
fiends
to.
and
I
there's...
do tend to specify that. Even when you use yours, it says you don't know where or how
Where they
many,
are,
but
it
like,
just-
there
yeah.
are
Yeah.
these things in the area. So. Because it's specifically within 1 mile, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple
Which
dice
is never
roll.
as far as I think it is.
Multiple dice just rolled.
I know.
And,
365.
I was ignoring that.
No. Nothing within a mile.
Nothing within a mile.
Though as you sort of doing this, and Ichi sort of points out about 2 or 3 miles away, you can see a silhouette of something large flying and doing like loops and gliding low.
But there is one elemental at least.
Yeah, you pick up
Yeah,
one
yeah,
elemental.
Imagine if it's like, there are elementals.
It's not fiend isn't a thing on there, is it?
Yeah, fiend is the thing.
You do
Fiend,
pick-
fae, undead.
You do pick
So I
up.
could probably pick up,
So
possibly.
you pick up your moths.
Mm.
He doesn't ping as Fae.
Okay.
While he is,
It's just with him having been affected by
I'm
But-
fate touched.
this is the thing, he's Fae touched. So he doesn't have the same weaknesses.
No.
But he is, like, he wasn't actually repulsed. He's not mechanically affected by
okay.
Ichi's thing,
Right.
but he terrified. Like, the bit of him that's like, that's not normal, run away. There's something in him that, like, gives him that feeling. But whereas Dante got, like, I'm going to sprint from you as fast as I physically can, he just was like, I don't like this. And I think you chose to run back when...
Yeah.
No, I failed a
Failed to check.
He did fail a save. To be fair,
Yeah.
I think all 3 of us actually had to do a save.
Yeah, I'm the only one in this.
It's
But if I
us.
use my challenge of divinity, apparently it affects all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, fiends is on the list.
You do pick up a feed.
Okay, I would tell you that. So yeah, I would say, I was thinking this was quite a good place that we could even, stay underneath the outcrop. But this looks like it's a favourite place for our wyvern friends, and
Lovely.
there is definitely a fiend within a mile of them.
Do we think that? Do we think that? Actually, I'm not. I'm have you come back?
It's,
to us?
yeah, it'd be loud enough that you would.
Because I'm not.
You
going
were probably here, but I'm probably stood on the outcropping, like holding one of these bones, just being like, I mean, they haven't been here recently, but that doesn't mean they're not going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
If you're shouting that out,
Well, I'm not
maybe-
shouting, but I'm not whispering either.
Yeah, I'm just. I don't know how far 40 feet is for me to talk.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
if
can hear
this
a
is where we
whisper
find out that Rufus is a
you can
fiend.
hear a whisper at 6.
Cool. Thank you. That's what I need to know.
Imagine if we find
Or
out
normal
that
talking.
Rufus is the
60
fiend.
is a normal.
Our dog is somehow this fiend. It's like, who are you? I'm a hellhound.
I mean, you did rip him off the patch.
Yeah, he came from a pouch. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me.
But yeah, so I would say to you guys, I mean, personally, I think we should keep looking for somewhere else to stay. I don't think this is safe.
This is not a good place.
No, I need to keep on moving.
The Wyvern, that's 2 to 3 miles away. 2 to 3 miles away in the direction we're going.
In the direction.
Great, so we're going to be getting closer to that thing, which means
And it's going dark.
And it's getting dark, which
Are there
means...
any outcroppings of trees or anything like that? I know you said this was plains.
There are
burrowing work.
Simply, I dig a hole.
very small clusters.
I can dig through the
We're
ground
talking
20 feet per...
a large
Enough to hold 4 people?
20 feet per 6 seconds.
uncomfortable.
If I was to, narrow it down to...
So guys, we could literally go, there's those trees over there, it'll be small and quiet.
You could build us a den.
I can burrow us. It'll take me a little bit of time to construct.
It'll take
Because
time.
the
and
only
then
thing...
there's only one way in and
The thing is, I will need help because my burrowing is the same way that, like, a mole would. If, like, I'm just creating a tunnel for me to go through. I'm not creating a structurally sound.
out. Yeah.
I would need support. I would need...
I think we need the ability to be able to move.
Yeah.
I think we should go somewhere and set up, maybe not have a fire tonight, and I think we should be taking watches and just being really careful.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. You begin moving slowly forwards. As the hours begin to pass, you begin to see far more signs, and definitely for Ichi, the confirming signals that you need to know that you are fully entering an active adult wilderness territory. You come across a few trees with torn bark. So the one trunk has slashes, and you can see that they're angling downwards to give you the impression of something bigger. And as you're looking, the claw mark itself is almost wider than a normal person's chest. It's and singular. Again, giving you wyvern vibes, but definitely an adult, and maybe even into the elder territory. Now, for Ichi, this doesn't quite fit. Well, there's two things here. If this is the only problem, then this must be a not native to these mountains wyvern that is bigger and has moved in. That could explain the adolescence push. The fact that the ones you encountered, the ones you fought in Foothill, were teenagers.
Yeah.
And did seem injured and did seem like they hadn't eaten in a while. And that could explain it. But also, he's still a little far from the mountains. And from where the normal wyvern territory, the best wyvern territory is. And if something this big has been pushed.
With all of this, with all of the wyvern territory moving and everything, with Ichi's experience in the desert and such, do wyverns typically follow dragons?
Give me a nature check.
Oh dear.
Okay, why are we focusing on dragons? What, have I missed something?
No, he's
Wyvern is a
asking
type of
if-
dragon.
Wyvern is a type of dragon.
Yeah, I know.
So he's
Bigger
saying
claws could be an not even an adult, an elder. Huh?
Are we talking wyvern?
No, yeah, we're talking wyvern, but what I'm thinking is because of the sheer size of this, is it that these wyverns have been pushed here
By something big.
by something bigger, or are they also are these wyverns acting like scavengers to pick up whatever the dragon leaves behind? Kind of
so
vibe.
yes, give me a nature.
Can I also ask just what I know about wyverns?
Give me anyone who wants to give me a
Yeah.
nature.
17. Purely just because I like
22.
in the desert that I'm from, there is a dragon, and so
No, it makes sense.
I'm guessing I can't ask for guidance on this because it's not intelligence. Oh, well, I know shit.
Nature. What is my stats for nature?
You've got
Eight.
five.
Let me just... Did that change? I swear it said 17.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mine knocked when I rolled.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like...
17 looks down.
So I'm on
3!
22, you're on 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if we have any clarification, we can refer to the camera. Roll it back.
Doesn't show the dice, does it?
Dice tray right there in the middle.
Yeah, it was. So there is. Give me a second.
Well, how dare you not give me guidance?
So I'm going to say, with a 17, you don't know the specific brand, like type of dragon,
Yeah.
but there is lore, and it's not. It is exactly what you're thinking. It is not that mechanically or any other such thing wyverns follow this dragon.
No, but
So it's a lair effect,
yeah.
right? So in the same way as for red dragons, within a mile of their actual lair, they have regional effects. So a red dragon, as the example, within 6 miles of the dragon's lair, earthquakes become more common. Water sources dry up and become tainted with sulfur, and rocky fissures begin to form portals into the plane of fire.
Yeah.
Right, that's just what happens around red dragons, especially when they live in an area for a long time. There are 1 or 2 dragons that their effect is that for 6 miles of their wyvern activity just decreases.
Cool.
And it is, what I will say, because I do remember bits of it, it's one of the more neutral dragon types, because a red dragon won't tolerate wyverns in its territory. It would hunt them down.
Yeah.
There are a few dragons that don't give a shit. As long as the wyverns stay up there and away from them, who gives a shit? Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
But they do scavenge off all the stuff that's around. So sometimes, however, you also know with that 17 that these mountains are known for wyverns. So it's not uncommon at all.
It's not uncommon for them to be. It's more just the size of this that. Like, is it a very big wyvern or is it a younger dragon that's starting to explore and find where a home could be?
So the only thing that tells you wyvern over dragon
is singular claw.
Singular claw. So it's a singular claw. It is too high for a ground-based animal. And there are older markings that would suggest that this tree has been cycled past. And it's like, okay, this one was months ago. And then there's been a more recent one. Maybe with the 17, you're thinking maybe a few days.
Okay. Not ruling out dragon, but...
Definitely not ruled out.
Definitely not ruling it out. When we go back to the guards, it's been like...
So I got a 22 and he got a 23 on our wyvern, just general, what do we know about wyverns? I suppose I'm trying to picture in my head.
So Liam just turns to you and goes like, dragon's head.
Yeah.
Dragon, turn around.
I assumed... So Emma assumed that wyverns weren't as big as dragons, but is that true? And I'm trying to get around my head just how big these things could be.
So...
if you're saying that what we saw was an adolescent and
So
he
if you-
rode it.
Yeah, well, he stood on his back.
Yeah.
And that was a teenager. Right? So, what you know. First off, they are, at standard, large creatures.
Okay.
Right? So, yes, the claw marks you're seeing are big, which what makes him think elder, as opposed to just adult. But we're not outside of the scopes of what a wyvern could be by any means. Because you've got to think as well, like, elder great dragons are like building size. So they're gargantuan in some cases. So, no, nowhere near as big as an elder dragon by any standard. But there are dragons that all 4 of you could have a battle on the back of, and it wouldn't be phased. That's the size of.
But could we be talking like something 15 foot high, 20 foot high?
To be fair,
I'm just trying to, and even by the size of the claw mark as well, if that's like the width of a man's chest, I'm trying to.
So as a comparison, next to people.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, and what you know, they are mostly opportunistic.
Yeah.
They are dive bombers, dive ambushers.
Yeah.
Their main strategy is to land on you, pin you down with the claw, and then sting you. Their toxin is one highly coveted by assassins and alchemists and all of those other things, but also quite known in the medical stuff that there isn't much of an antidote to it. It's not one of these that like makes you ill; it necroses you from the inside.
Yeah.
You basically just take extra damage mechanically, but for a healer, you know that that's not. It's not like their system gets sick. It literally starts to like disintegrate your veins and shit like that.
Okay.
Highly aggressive. They claim sizable territories normally. They like mountains, crags, ruins, and despite their considerable strength, they are opportunistic. They very much tend to go for like livestock.
Yeah.
In camp travellers that aren't paying attention.
So it's territorial and food, effectively.
Yeah. They nearly always only land once they've hit a land with the stigma.
Okay.
So they'll dive bomb, call it 16, drop by.
Okay.
And actually, from what you've noticed, is creatures that fight back too hard, they might just leave you. It's like, I'll find something.
Yeah.
They're very, very lazy.
Okay.
I know that feeling.
What you do know, though, so again, this is in opposed to what you've seen since setting off. Wyverns normally don't eat animals.
Oh, okay.
Wyverns nearly always overpower and poison and then would take it back to their cave or their mountain lair. Or put it somewhere hidden and trapped to come back for it later. But all of the signs
So
you've
like
seen.
that deer that we saw partially hidden.
The deer you saw, that is normal, natural wyvern
For wyvern.
behaviour. Sitting out on a rock,
Yeah.
munching and sitting watching
It's
this
not.
is not, but also all of the signs, and I want to be very clear, Eleni does it. This isn't that Eleni's going, oh, maybe it's not wyvern. That is a fucking wyvern. The scorch monsters, acid monsters, everything
But
you would
it's acting
expect,
strange.
but it is not behaving normally.
I would just be saying that out loud. I mean,
Where do the mines go? In this
I don't know.
We don't know. We tried to have a look at some of the things, but
These predate the mines at Cadpassi.
the infection have spread down there,
that's what I was thinking earlier. That's what I was thinking last night.
and then could a certain big wyvern been infected?
The only thing is,
If it had been, would we not be seeing signs of other things than the infection spreading?
Possibly.
so far what we've seen from the infection isn't kill, like cause things to become volatile and kill. It's volatile to
To spread.
spread. So we would see signs of infection in these, like it wouldn't be sat out on a rock eating abnormally. It would be.
We've never seen it infect a beast. We've only ever seen it affect an more intelligent creature. No offense to the wyverns.
When we spoke with, was it Kanga or was it even Tenebris who mentioned it? It essentially brings out the opposite effect of what your nature is. So it's something that's lazy and opportunistic suddenly becomes
Aggressive and
Territorial.
Yeah. The plan, strategy.
If in fact, this is what I was worried about. The infection is spreading in terms of like, if it. God damn it.
I'm wondering something, guys. I know that we need to find somewhere to camp and we need to find somewhere safe. We could carry straight on towards Lake Sif. We could also detour south. It'll take us out of our way a little bit, but come south and then come back up at the south end of Lake Sif. You know, instead of just going straight across to it, we could cut south and actually come round, hit the river and go north then.
do we think is best? Because we could do that. Take some time. Potentially safe. What if the wyvern, if the infection is somewhere involved? You said you picked up on a feed.
I did. I mean, I can check again and see if it's still within. I think we've been making really good time. We have time to detour. to.
Is
it better to skirt around the outside of something's territory than to march straight through the middle of it? And I don't know.
Dante is, and I'm fairly confident this is going to be counterintuitive for any kind of like stealthing that I'm currently doing. Turning on my right for fire. Actually, do we know if any resistances? I mean, I don't know anything about wyverns.
Do we know if we've got any?
Not as far as you're
So
we're not especially resistant.
Liam, I want to ping my primeval awareness again now and see is there still
Yes.
is there still themes?
Still elementals. You're now pinging dragons. I think.
No fiend.
So I'd say that
We've
left
done.
a thing behind, but there's definitely bad
Definitely.
Rufus is not a fiend.
handing over, aren't
I said you pick up the off.
I also I'm actually going to do both my rights. So I've got one on my sword and on my bow as well.
Okay.
Because I can have them both
Which way
running.
round? You just talking about fire?
No, I can't do both of them. I can't. So one thunder, one fire.
Which one?
Sword fire.
Okay.
So guys, I mean, I can pass without trace. I can help us be more stealthy. I feel like what we actually need is a way to hide ourselves while we're camping.
Mm-hmm.
I still think maybe within the trees or some kind of cover is best, right?
That wyvern is now within 1 mile.
Mm-hmm.
How worth do we think it is trying to get a better look at that wyvern from a distance?
I don't know if we have time before nightfall to go and look for this wyvern.
Not
and get
look,
back to
not look for it. Do we want to try and?
I mean, if it's as big as it looks, and that's a fairly small copse of trees we were heading for, it's going to struggle. It just have to destroy the fucking trees to get to us, in a way. If we're quiet and we don't have a campfire,
I rarely use this. Liam, I'm going to spend my inspiration to do something slightly game-changing.
Okay.
And it is very small. I'm going to spend my inspiration, and as Ichi reaches their hand into the bag of holding, I'm going to pull out a telescope.
Okay.
nice.
Do we not have that in like an explorer's kit or something?
No, you don't get that.
And they're
It's
expensive.
standard.
Yeah, they're
That's fine.
expensive.
That's like $1,000.
Yeah.
yeah, they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Going to pull out, like a spyglass telescope.
It's extremely old.
Mm-hmm.
So for Ichi, decoratively made in a way that you've never seen before.
Oh, okay.
Not nomadic, and definitely not from Versa. But you do pull a very, almost antique-looking, collapsing telescope.
And I will extend, and I'm going to use that to try and get a better look at the wyvern. And I'm specifically looking for any signs of infection that we have seen. Any signs of purple, any signs of, like purple veins.
Give me an advantage perception.
Oh, that's a good one. Can we do better? Can it be the nat 20? No, but it's 219. So plus 6, so that is 25.
Useful.
Okay.
Also, it's just like telescope, good thing to have just from.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, I will spend my inspiration.
To be honest, I thought you were going to do your inspiration to be like, the weather changes, and now it's blowing away the fog.
No.
I thought he was going to create some kind of a tarpaulin we could use as a tent and hire or something.
Yeah, no, it's like that we can fashion that. Like I can use my plant growth ability to kind of create a canopy.
Still,
So-
you could use your burrowing, just even if it's just to put us lower.
We could create like a bit of a dip, but sorry.
Yeah. And also, I was thinking this about if there's a rock jutting out over a dig,
Yeah,
you could almost dig further under.
That's the thing, yeah. If there are already establishing supports, it'll be easier. But if it's like we're going to dig into if we're going to Minecraft, just dig into the ground, it's like, no.
Your
Sadly-
burrowing collapses behind you.
That's the thing, yeah.
So some creatures, they make a tunnel. He is small enough that his burrowing would collapse down behind him.
No, that's fine. That was what I was asking.
It's like if we had it pre-prepped of something like a mine shaft, had some supporting beams, we probably could.
If you threw a putting and supporting beams behind him, that would be valid, right? But you'd have to have the resources and such to do that.
Bag of holding. Ichi's Make a Shift Home set.
So, you take a look out. Firstly, incredibly hard on a wyvern to detect colours. Well, this specific colour, because they are all pink and red. Or at least the ones in this vicinity are. The ones you saw previously that you thought, like some in some areas of the world are green and sort of such, but the ones you thought...
Depends on natural biome.
Yeah. And the one you're looking at right now is red all over. And there's probably a little bit of a heart stop for a second when you first... And it's like... It looks
Red
like...
dragon.
Yeah. Or just also like a flying ball of infection. Because it's just all pink and red and purple, so it just passed. Hard to tell at this distance, but as you're looking, so firstly, as you're getting in on it, it definitely seems to have found prey, something. As it stops going from it's currently doing like low, up, down, low, up, down, and it starts
circling.
Oh, okay.
And circling and following, Out of the minute that you're watching, as it begins its dive, from out of nowhere, mountainside, a much larger one swoops and just straight across its back, almost clearing this wyvern. You see it tumble out of the sky before catching itself again and swooping. And you see the larger one going to a dive attack, fully chasing after them. The smaller one is weaving in and out of things. It gets very low to the ground and almost for 30 seconds disappears out of sight. If you imagine there's the horizon of the hills for you, disappears down out of sight. Before again merging up on the other side. And as that smaller one sort of leaves, the larger one hits an edge, turns around, and goes back to the mountain. You think within half a mile you can determine which mountain range, which peak. Well, there's definitely the big one that's living up there.
Big one's up there.
The one you saw definitely was a lot, the silhouette-wise is smaller. And genuinely, when they clashed, it was literally one of them just knocked the other one straight out of the sky. It wasn't even like a contested moment. It was just poof, almost like they'd swiped them straight.
But I know small one was basically doing weird evasive maneuvers. Was the big one pursuing?
Yes.
Okay.
Up until a point, and then the small one keeps flying south, and the big one turns around and sweeps back up towards. As it flies up over, you think it passes over and keeps going. Okay. It doesn't seem to come to a point and you expect it to hold up and lower itself. It's over in between the peaks.
Yeah. There's a cave within.
Or it is currently territory checking. It's either doing
it sends something close and is now right, I'm going to do a walk around.
But it didn't go back to a point. But also, in terms of what you know about that hunting, if it hasn't finished, it wasn't successful in killing that wyvern,
it'll go back to hunting.
It might just still be hunting.
Yeah.
But that is maybe a mile that way.
From what I know, and conversing with Eleni here as well, with your speciality of primeval awareness and awareness of what these creatures are and what they do, I know wyverns are carnivorous. Are they cannibalistic? Is that normal for them to attack for a larger one to attack a smaller one? I understand in terms of territory.
I'm assuming they're fairly solitary. They
Territory.
don't live in family groups.
They don't live in massive family groups. However, most of the reports of fighting are shows of force and territory.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect it to chase it. You might chase it, but with that size difference as well, that's the odd thing.
But if it thought the younger one was trying to take its food source, if the young one's about to attack something,
but also,
and the big one's no, that's my food.
But also with the opportunistic nature of it, you would have actually expected it to have waited for it to have finished a hunt. And you would have, you know what I mean? So if the smaller one hunts an adult deer, and as it's about to pick it up and fuck off with it, the big one just flies down. The small one panics, drops the deer, and fucks off.
So it does feel more like a territory thing then.
But even then, as Liam was saying, even if it was territory, it probably would have gone, oh wait, because it attacked before it went into dive.
Maybe it's already eaten I mean, we don't know if it would have tried to eat the other wyvern,
Maybe.
but if it didn't need food,
I think
just
it's
then, and
definitely
it was a
more
territory attack.
definitely more territorial, but that still feels abnormal in a way. I think it's definitely an idea for us to keep an eye out for it.
For all we know, it's got eggs, or it's and it's extra aggressive because of something else. And maybe it's territory, but not just territory. Maybe it's
it could be anything, but it's something that we shouldn't rule out. Keep aware of it.
I still think we keep our heads down.
Oh no, I'm not saying we go hunt for it. I'm not saying we go find it. I'm just saying if anyone spots it, let me know, because I can try and get a closer look with the telescope.
Yeah.
Just, I'm very anxious about that. If a wyvern of that size has got the infection in it,
agreed.
That's going to cause havoc to.
But I also think if we can get to Lake Sif and do this ceremony.
Oh no! Yeah.
Then, if we come across the wyvern on the way back, I feel like that maybe gives us.
No, again, I'm not saying we pursue the wyvern now.
Yeah.
We continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Just keep a weathered eye out for it.
Absolutely.
If you see it, let me know.
So I think we still head for the trees. I'm up for you burrowing a little bit into the roots or whatever and lowering us down. I think that's a good option. I don't think we have any fire, and I think we keep watch and we try and keep the dogs close and safe.
Yeah.
So, sorry, is the plan to dip southwards and give us some distance, or?
Well, what time of day is it? Because you said not so long ago it was starting. We were starting to look for somewhere to.
Well, so you were looking for a stop around the midday point. It was like a stopping point for a break almost, if that makes sense. So we're like 12:30. Nearly.
I do think we should come slightly south. I think we should come away from the mountain ranges a little bit, if that's where the wyverns are sort of circling. But I am keeping my eye out for, like you said, either a space under a rocky outcrop or, a dip or trees or something where we could be a little bit more hidden.
Okay. So, you move southwards and you sort of give a bit of distance and continue your movement, that wary eye always on the sky, keeping an eye out for anything that might be noticing you, tracking you, approaching you. Over the next, again, few hours pass, and there is the occasional sighting, but it's distant, and it's not the large one. You're seeing smaller ones. And again, maybe a mile that way. You also catch, like a mile back the way you've come, something crosses over the mountain range back there. What you're noticing, Ichi, and I think for Eleni, the smaller ones seem to be acting normal-ish. The smaller silhouettes very rarely move away from the mountain range as such. They're not dive-bombing targets, you know what I mean? It's very much like gliding, checking. Oh, seeing something, low drop. Like it's not as aggressive, not as urgent, those sorts of things. As you make your way southwards and you turn back eastwards and you start making the trackwards, you've been moving maybe 30 minutes and you come across another small crops of trees. And you're passive. There is, at first you halt everybody. There's like a grunt, a low guttural noise. And you pause everybody. And as you're listening more and more, Eleni, there is definitely something bestial and definitely something kind of large shifting within that corpse of trees, but it sounds injured. It's strained. There's the low guttural noises, but there's also the sort of high pitched, unpurposeful. What am I trying to say? Not purposeful.
Accidental?
Yeah, but not that. Like when you don't want it to happen, but
involuntary.
That involuntary, not of like something like that, but from an animal. And it's not moving. Like if you imagine the crops of trees is maybe 15-foot radius sort of thing. There's rustling. There's the occasional movement. So you sort of stop and watch for a minute or two, and it's just constant. You can hear it the whole time. It doesn't seem aware of you. But it's also not like about to set off, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So I then, using stuff up, I would like to do it that way. Can I do it the other way? Sorry, I'm just checking something.
What's that's happening? Just quick. Not so much retcon. I said something which was wrong. My second right is lightning, not thunder. Okay.
I would like to use my chameleon armour to go invisible. And I'm going to say to the guys, I want to creep a bit closer. I want to see if I can see what this creature is before we decide if we're going to approach it or avoid it. But yeah, so I want to go invisible, Liam. I'm going to stealth up.
Okay. Give me an advantage stealth.
So, experience. So that's a 22.
Very good. As you get a bit closer, creeping forwards, you eventually catch almost the signs of colour before you see the creature. If you imagine, like, through the leaves and stuff, you see a different, darker colour shift through the green. And as you get closer, you see almost like limply and at an odd angle sticking out of one of the bushes, you see the end of a definitely broken wing. Again, you can still hear the noises, and as you sort of approach a bit closer, there is like a larger shift. But now that you're this close, it's like, if you imagine it sort of turned on the spot, but the noise it made, it's like the effort that was required for it to turn just then. It struggled to even turn on the spot. And as you get closer, you do see a medium-sized wyvern.
Okay.
You see that its left wing is completely twisted. And, like, if you imagine at the shoulder joint, it's, like, twisted from here. So it's like, like actually, is
so
it something...
like dislocated or, like, properly broken?
Almost torn off. Like, it is like something grabbed the wing at the joint and twisted it. It's the same way if you broke an arm or broke a joint or something like that. So left wing completely gone. You can see multiple claw marks, deep, singed claw marks that sort of... Interestingly, without getting any closer, but it's like they're almost cauterized. It's not bleeding, but you can almost see flecks of black and other sort of burn-like marks on it. And as it shifts and turns to you, you can see that its right side down to its stomach is distended and expanding and swelling. And as it fully turns, you see the glow of purpley pink. Right. Again, whining and moaning, but trying to sort of find a position it feels comfortable in.
Is it possible for me to tell? Does this thing look like it's dying? Is it capable of surviving? Forget the infection for a minute. With the wounds that it's got.
Not without healing.
I was about to say, with that wing that's pretty much ripped off.
Well, I know, but
because
a bird can have one wing and it'll struggle, but if it finds food, it can still live. So
and they're not completely incapable. You know
that
it's
clawed as well.
Yeah, it looks heavily injured, and whatever this is, if you didn't know that looks like corruption, it's like it's infected. It's like an infected wound is swelling and but also as you're looking at Lenny, that's not near the claw marks. If you imagine claw marks and bite marks are all up and down its back, and this is its flank. But from this distance and without provoking any sort of reaction from it, you would need to go.
With that role that I did about wyverns earlier, do I know how to kill wyverns? Do I know the best ways of doing it?
Yeah, they're animals, so it's pretty standard.
Lung and heart.
And do I think I'm capable of putting this thing out of its misery on my own? Or
I'd say, considering that you are invisible, if not invisible, no, it'd be really fucking difficult. But with the previous stealth roll and the fact you have maybe another, it's an hour the invisible.
It's an hour.
So you've got a good chunk of time that you could move one step, stop. Move another step, stop. You can really take your time to get in close and almost be hand ready with the dagger, ready to just...
Coup de grace.
Yeah. It's essentially helpless at this point. Well, it doesn't know you're there.
But it'd need to be dagger, slit the throat kind of thing, not...
Any sort of weapon like that. Your worry, the thing is, and this is everybody, and you know this, bows can't aim like that.
I know, and that's
So
why
you
I was
can't
like,
do a
normally I would
you
use
can't
my
do a
bow.
targeted attack with a bow as easily as... So you can't coup de grace with a bow. But you could with any melee weapon.
Or you could, with an arrow that you've got in your hand.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's and again, I think with you having invisibility and all those other things, I don't think it needs rolls. I think if you're willing to almost take a good 5-10 minutes with it.
Yeah, I would move it really, really, really slowly. I would use my dagger. I'd also be willing to use my gathered swarm and let my moths help me.
So as you get a good bit closer, you can see that it is wounded down that flank, though not as obvious. If you imagine that the swelling is almost covering some of the wound.
Is it a sting?
What's that puncture marks?
I was going to say.
I thought that was it.
Sting.
Yeah.
Definitely looks like puncture marks. For you, this creature was landed on, pinned to the ground, and stung multiple times. But again, not eaten.
Which is the...
Abnormal.
Spreading the
It's
infection.
both of those.
Abnormal
Abnormally
behaviour.
spreading the infection.
Abnormal behaviour because it's spreading the infection.
Spreading the infection.
Fuck.
Yeah, if I can, Liam, I want
And you would
to
be able to put it out of its misery.
I mean,
What are the rest of you doing? Because it is going to take maybe 10-15 minutes.
I mean, I
And
would
they're
have.
invisible the whole time.
Well, when I set off, I would have been like,
You said,
stay
yeah,
here.
you said you're going to, but like, are
Just
you
waiting.
doing anything in the meantime? Keep an eyes out, casting things.
Because I've got the dog, I'm out further back. I'm going to have my bow in my hand,
Okay. That's that, everything. Anything you want, prep.
Yeah, prep in action.
and I'm going to again take the dodge action.
Okay.
I'm prepping to also go, but I'm also prepping. Oh, are you prepping to get there?
No,
as well?
I'm prepping to
Remember,
prepping to attack, or am I?
Remember, if you're going to prep a spell, you will lose it if it doesn't go.
Think about the
Well,
sugar.
basically, what I'm asking is, do you want me to prep the Mastiff to take you? Or would you prefer to stay back?
How far away are we?
Maybe 40, 50?
No, I'm fine where I am.
Okay.
I'll prep Sacred Flame.
Okay, then I will prep Mastiff to join me in terms of like sprinting forwards kind of vibe.
Oh, prep Toledad, sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because the Mastiff will get there before I do, because the Mastiff will be faster than me. Barely, but just quick.
Can you give me, as you've sort of finished it off and you sort of stood in that moment of silence, and I imagine again it's a bit of a hunter, there probably is the level of respect within the kill.
There's actually almost I would normally, if I was hunting, thank the animal for the... It's not so much, I'm not going to eat this animal, right? But there's a little bit of a... Damn, this is a magnificent animal and this was horrible that we had to do this. And, there's that. A little prayer almost to Astera that this happened.
Okay. Can you give me either a medicine or a perception of disadvantage?
I'm doing the medicine, and that's a 22.
Disadvantage.
No,
it
if
was
it was
medicine
disadvantage,
or-
you should do perception.
Perception.
Sorry, I thought it was
So straight medicine or a disadvantage perception.
Yeah, so 22
Okay,
medicine.
good. So you start to sort of look over them a little bit.
By the way, I'm not touching
No,
anything.
yeah.
I'm circling and
Wait for me to get level that.
So,
I'm not risking getting infected. I am not touching this thing.
So normally, if you're sort of almost comparing to what you expect to find versus what you're finding.
Yeah.
So all of the claw and bite marks, as you could sort of see from a bit of a distance, are cauterized. But it's acid burns as opposed to
Yeah.
the eyes. As you sort of like one of the eyes still open, you can see it's beginning to cloud. There's almost like a purple cracked mist sort of beginning to form over its eyes. If you imagine the pupils just sort of starting to go milky, almost like cataracts, but it's like purpley colour. You can see around its mouth the saliva that it, to be clear, like I said before, the saliva normally, it's not like you put your hand in it and it burns.
No.
But if you soaked your hands in it would eat the top layer of skin off
like
you.
that,
Like pineapple. You work with pineapple too long, it literally burns the top layer of the skin off you.
There's actually someone in my front garden who has to wear gloves to handle it because it'll. Yeah.
It's almost, if you imagine like when something has rabies and it begins to froth, that frothing is almost increasing the acidity in its saliva, as this wyvern wasn't at burn levels, but almost where it's still resting and that saliva's dripping, there is the very, very soft as it hits grass and other things that have water content.
Okay.
The wings themselves, obviously there's the one that's been torn and like twisted.
Yeah.
But the actual flesh of the wings seems thinner. It's almost like paper thin. And you're starting to see, whereas before, normally you would just see the red of the wing skin and the occasional vein. It's like the veins are pulsing. Even like, it's not no blood because it's dead, but it's like, when people twist their arm and get all the veins to pop up. It's like it's doing that naturally. And all of its bones and all of its... It's almost like it's weakening and degrading almost.
Okay.
As you're examining this area, there's a very loud, like a rib breaking.
Oh.
And it shifts.
She's not invisible
I'm not invisible anymore. I hear that. I'm going to very, very slowly start backing away back to where these guys are.
Okay.
Still have dagger in hand, by the way.
What's happened?
Well, do I get to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, and again,
Okay.
I'd say you get like 4 or 5 steps back and there's a small shift.
I'm remembering seeing that other creature inside the infection when we were under the mountain, and that other something that I attacked, and I've suddenly thought that could just be the infection breaking down the body, but also I've seen things moving inside us, and that's why I was like, you know what, actually, let's back up. So yeah, I get back to you guys, and I'm going to say there was a young injured wyvern in there, really badly damaged, been attacked. I'm assuming by the big thing that we saw. I mean, it's one of its wings almost torn off, multiple wounds. It's infected on its side. It looks like it's been stung, and in the stings is where the infection has started. But it had spread quite a long way. It's in its eyes. It started to affect the body, and the body is now breaking down. I don't know what, now that it's dead, I don't know if that means that the infection dies. I don't know if...
I would like to be sure, if possible, if I'm going to go over there and with my right is on. So
The fire.
Yeah, so the animal is dead. The infection still seems to be breaking down the matter of the body.
Could you look at its stinger? It might be good to get some of the toxin.
Well, so some of the saliva that's coming out of its mouth, I know that it's usually mildly acidic. That's been changed. I don't know what the infection will have done to the venom that we'd normally get from the wyvern.
But please take with us. I don't want him near us and do this.
I'm going to come on over with you.
I think we can all probably approach the copse of trees. I will take my bow out and I'm going to be scanning the skies while you guys look at the body now.
So, swords out. I've gone over. I'm going to take a quick glance around to see if I can hear or see anything. Not that, so I'm good at that.
Ooh,
17
wow.
altogether.
Okay,
So,
you take a quick glance around. You're not seeing any other silhouettes. There's no, and very clearly with that roll, no other animals in the vicinity. Like, it wasn't being quiet beforehand, but was still, even injured. There are, a deer is not going to stick around if there is something whining in that.
so before doing,
So it's those sorts of
before
clear.
checking anything like checking on the side or anything, I'm going to decapitate the head. So straight, like just sword straight off, because we haven't seen any type of reanimation or anything, but
Just in case.
this is going to be off, so there's not that.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go to have a look at this, say where the infection is.
Okay. As you approach her, there is another shift of and again, it's almost like rippling downwards, where you are also hearing as it's just going through bone and other. It's like it's tearing through it.
I'm going to look at you and just kind of just with the sword ready, and I'm going to stab into the infection with the sword. I want to see the reaction to how it affects. Because we already know that my fire cures it, but being this close and on a dead animal, I can physically see its reaction more. So I'm looking to see how it reacts to my fire, and also is it immediately almost like a living thing of recoil of I need to be away from that, or is it?
So is it sentient?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Is it reactive?
Yeah.
Mm.
As something dawned on me as well. I think so. It's just this part of me, and I feel like this is a very Liam thing. Is that we're going to go to Lake Sif or whatever, and I just feel as though part of this thing to see if we can cure this thing is to infect me and then cure it. Because that way, as you've said that we can't. Shall we?
Liam's over there Liam, why are you sweating, Liam? Why are you sweating?
No,
I think they just gave him an idea.
Well, no, it's just because we mentioned it. They
Yeah.
mentioned it before. Once it's cured,
Now.
but once you're cured,
Can't be infected.
supposedly
Yeah.
can't be affected again.
Yeah.
So, and if it changes
Well,
things inside you, it might change my fire.
I have another concern about. We've only seen it infect animals, creatures, living beings,
And the golem.
and the golem. So what about trees, plants, earth?
If it can infect a construct, it can infect anything.
So I'm happy that we're going to try and burn this thing outright, but
So, you bring the sword closer, and before the sword even really touches, the outer scales start to catch light. And from what you've experienced, every creature that's been infected is flammable. It's not just that, you touch the fire and it spreads. It's not just that you burn away what you touched. That this is flammable, and you're seeing that as it starts to light. As you make me that save, please.
Ooh. You get +3.
Oh
no.
So that's still 15, I think.
Really?
I've got an 8, and you've got a 3, and then so
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Lucky
11. Yeah, so you've got a +11 to that, so yeah, 15.
so.
Hey, motherfucker!
It's a good thing having. Hey, take your paladins with you, kids. Take your paladins
It's
with
enough
you.
for half damage. So, for those two that are there, this is not an attack. This is for those of you with nature knowledge, akin to dead snakes biting down when.
Yeah, it's reflex.
It is, nervous system reflex.
Yeah.
But as you stab in, its tail
Oh shit!
And literally, as you duck, the stinger is here, and it
You know how you
grazed,
want it to be infected?
it grazed your face, and you are half damage. So
Half damage. 15.
Yeah, so half damage is
160.
562.
12 points of necrotic damage as it grazed your face, and the skin immediately, like allergic reaction, begins to rash. And Dante, like your entire half side of the face, like you burned again, as it stings and rashes up, and almost like immediately. This isn't corruption. This is the wyvern's poison. This is literally what the wyvern poison normally does. But definitely, they don't normally twitch like that. That was definitely the corruption's death throw, if that makes sense. But again, it's that weirdness of every time you've encountered the corruption so far, they are almost sentient. Like, it doesn't, run... it's...
It's protecting itself, but it's not a thinking.
Yes, it's not, strategizing.
It's an instinctive...
But there is intelligence there. And you definitely, as you're sort of holding this stinger just at bay, as it's sort of dripping and hissing, the sort of, you imagine the poison that seeps out is almost like a greeny clear liquid. Because I don't know if you know with stingers and such, it hits and then it injects, right? So it's, if you imagine it went to hit, and now it's like seeping out.
Yeah.
As that cleary green liquid finishes, the end of it runs purpley red.
Oh.
No infection to yourself, but that would not have been pleasant to have inside your mouth.
It's a good thing we got the half.
Yeah, so we got that was 76.
I remember my favourite poison. I know that's purple.
So no, we don't
Sorry,
want
what
to
I
take
said.
any of that then.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna you guys.
You do have potions, you've got potions.
Yeah, and you will hear that. You will hear the call out. But as you stab in and then twist, ignoring the burn for a second, the body just begins to burn in full, and it goes fully limp.
I'm going to. I don't entirely know if this even damages me or not. But I'm going to. What I've been doing for the trying to heal people with my hands and stuff. Obviously, I know I'm going to have to do it with the sword, but I kind of want to cauterize effectively with the sword kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
So because I'm resistant to fire.
You are resistant to fire.
So
you only take 1 point. And you do manage to burn over any of the bleeding or blistered areas.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure. So if I'm just a walking cure, or if it's something I still don't, or we don't know.
You don't know whether it's going to be real bad if you get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, is this copse of trees bigger than just where the wyvern is?
Just about. It's 15 foot. So if you imagine the copse of trees is roughly 15 foot round, and this is a 10 by 10 creature. So it's a lot, you know what I mean? So there's almost a 5 foot square
and
of trees
the infection
around.
is gone.
By the time, maybe about a minute, because to be clear, it's not flammable in gunpowder flammable. It doesn't
Yeah.
It continually burns. It's like as if you lit paper.
Yeah.
It would just run till the end of the paper. You just see it slowly. And as you're looking, Dante, if you imagine your sword stabbed in, there's maybe a hole this big. Nearly its entire inside's burning. And as it finishes and the body collapses in on itself, it almost like the bones, the lungs, the organs.
Everything.
That's what was corrupted in this creature.
I mean,
So-
if it's being injected,
Yeah.
like all the other
It'll
ones
be
have been
all
like a
easy.
scratch on the thing, and it's
Everything you've seen so far has been skin contact,
infection. This is
direct sword.
like a needle that big going into your lung and then injecting the infection. That is infected inside out.
So I have a possibly stupid Emma question. Would this be a good place to stay?
I actually think it might be so.
Is the big thing likely to come back here? And we've killed the infection, so it's safe from that.
The big
point
thing's
of view.
not hunting.
And
The big
other
thing's
creatures might still stay away from this place because of.
And there's definitely, while not like.
I mean, it's not a place. It's not a nice place
but also
to be.
there's also now again not necessarily pleasant, but there is a smell. Right, there is burning flesh and other things that
The smell of death keeps things away.
animals would stay the
This
fuck
is it.
away.
It's not a nice place to be at all.
And
but
even
actually
if
it's
the
a safer
wyvern,
place to be.
even if the wyvern did want to come back, surely that like if this infection is, as we have kind of learned it to be, in a way self-preserving, it's going to stay away from elemental fire. If it comes over, if it starts flying this way and gets a whiff of elemental embers, there's probably going to be something in it that goes,
possible.
get away, don't go
And you
towards
are a
it.
good chunk from the mountains in terms of if you set up a watch
We went
tower,
south, innit?
you went a chunk south first. And again, this is like probably a little wyvern that was chased out of the territory and has just landed as soon as it
Yeah.
fucking could. As soon as it wasn't being chased anymore.
Or flew until it got too tired because the infection
with the
took over.
damaged wing and the.
If its lungs were being infected and everything, then it's not going to be able to breathe much. It's going to get tired and hit the ground soon.
So I'm going to suggest that. I'm going to say, do we actually hunker down here tonight?
I think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
Ichi, can you make us a bit of a hole?
Yeah,
Just
so
straight
dig,
down.
dig a lay
I mean,
down.
yeah, but a little bit like a trapdoor spider kind of thing of like create pit and then use my
Yeah.
growth to close that hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, easily done.
We are living like trapdoor
We
spiders
literally are.
in the ground.
That's what you have to do when you don't have
Rule
a,
one of Minecraft:
when
don't dig straight
when
down.
you don't have a tiny hut. You've got to get creative with how you come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still think we need to watch them.
Yes.
yeah.
Any other spells or alarms that people want to do? Or alarms a bit harder here because it's things
Yeah.
that fly.
It's we can't airborne.
I'm going to try, say, to help stealth Ichi's creation of this, so
Yeah.
people think anything looking flying or walking by may not see
So
it.
I'd say if you want to hide it from an aerial sense, it needs to be survival
Okay.
because you're not hiding it, you're making it look natural.
Okay.
If you want to hide it on a level sense, that could be
I would
survival.
like to try to do both if possible.
So give me a stealth first. Then this would be versus people or things on the ground level.
Would anyone like to help?
I'll help you try and
Yeah,
hide
there you go.
things. Yeah. So what is it? Survival?
No, stealth.
Sorry, stealth.
And then I can help you if you want to do the. I think that's
Was that
18.
an 8 or?
I think
Yeah, that was just an 11 for me. So
That's fine. I got 18 on myself. I might actually help you with your survival because you're better at that. I think.
Yeah.
So
So survival.
I'm going to say 8.
Good, because that was in that one. And that wasn't much better. That's a total of 10.
Okay. Do you think you've had enough for the evening? Are you doing campfire or no?
No.
Not
No,
inside.
if we're in a hole, no.
No.
So
But I
we
mean,
were
it's
in a
going to be
mine,
fairly
we did
warm.
one.
We've got 2 dogs and
That is a hole.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but that stone, the thing that I've just closed our thing off, is wood.
Yeah, still a hole.
We're all just, you don't want to be inside.
We're all just-
burning.
I think we're going to be
Bundled
warm
up
enough,
together.
and I
Yeah.
think we'll just bundle up together.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got little woofers
Yeah.
with us.
Who's taking the first watch?
I'm pretty much warm enough as is.
Yeah.
I'll take the first watch.
Okay. Give me a perception and also anything, if you're doing anything specific other than just watching, let me know.
The only other thing that I think he'll do. No, actually, no, he won't. He's gonna stay low. He's gonna put the sword probably nearer to these guys than it is me, because it does create a bit of heat.
Residual warmth. Yeah.
So it's just to give
So you just
everybody.
stick it in the ground.
That's
Goes to
sweet.
the camp, a little bit of a
Yeah.
campfire.
Yeah, but I'm going to be kind of keeping out. I'm going to be using the spyglass.
Okay.
Is that advantage?
So to
Well,
be
remember,
fair,
we're
at night,
surrounded
no.
by trees as well.
At night, no. Daytime and long distances, yes. But in this situation, no.
Okay.
I mean, we're literally
So, yeah.
in a hole unless you've climbed out.
Yeah,
We're
This
in
is
a
this is
hole.
the thing. You're in a hole
And
surrounded by
there's
stuff
trees.
and it's dark. It's
and,
not.
we've got something like effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
We've got a canopy, something on top of us, like
So Okay, well,
That's not bad.
17.
Okay. So starting the first watch, you're starting to settle down and get some rest. And you're almost like sat at a point where the vines are twisted, but you can sort of get a peek. And you're sort of able to glance down the twisted vines every now and again. Everything seems fairly quiet. Towards the end of your watch, and this is a weird one. It's a weird one to think, and to describe it's going to be strange as well. But essentially, you hear like a repeating call. But it is far. Now, like in the sense that, sorry. Like even real animals, like shit that exists in our world, like a lion's mating call can be heard up to 5 miles away.
Yeah.
Right? Like that vibe. Something towards the mountain is like calling.
Calling things to it.
But also, Dante, it doesn't. Not that you've really ever heard what like the main call sound like. It doesn't sound like that. It almost gives you the vibe of like a demand. And as it starts towards the end of your watch, who's going into the next watch?
I'll take the by all means.
I think on
And it carries on for 30 minutes into your watch.
Ooh.
What time is it roughly?
Probably half 4, 5. When the calls begin.
So,
Evenings at half 4, 5 o'clock when the calls start, and they run for about half an hour.
4:30 isn't in the evening.
yeah, so I thought,
4:30 p.m. to evening.
no, it's not. That's afternoon.
I'm not even going to
That's semantics. But
So it carries on half an hour into my watch.
roughly like half an hour into your watch.
I'm surprised we stopped this
So,
time.
like I said, if you set off at 6 in the morning,
Oh.
7 in
We've
the
been travelling
morning,
for 8 hours.
you
we
can
then
only
stop.
travel for
Okay.
8 hours. And again, that's D&D
No,
maths.
it's fine. It's fine.
Like, because as far as like real life, you can walk until you have to stop.
Yeah.
By D&D standards, you have to stop within 8 hours.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And then also, daftly, you're not allowed to rest once at home for 24. Do you know what I mean? So, like,
yeah,
I always think it's kind of daft. And I always just flounce a few hours of doing nothing in there. There must be.
yeah, if there would be, you would make camp. You'd have an evening meal.
And your first 2 hours of watch happen before people sleep. If you think that 8 hours of sleeping, you only sleep for 6 of them. So you've been watching while people are setting up, getting ready. If you're the first watch, you're in the first 2 hours. It's not sleep time yet, by any means.
Okay. So, okay, so I was looking at the fact that if I'm now in trees, because that's my favourite terrain.
No, unfortunately, it's not a forest, man. Unfortunately.
Okay. No, I just wanted to check.
No, definitely worth checking. But it is a small crops of trees in a plains rather than
Okay.
a forest environment.
In which case, I am just being as alert as possible. I'm obviously I would less perception.
Mm-hmm.
But all my rolls have gone to shit. That's a 10.
So, nothing seems to approach you.
Mm-hmm.
You do catch the occasional silhouette in the dying light of the day.
Okay.
Over by the mountains and again smaller,
Yeah.
but there is movement and shifting off the back of those holes.
Mm.
But nothing seems to come out towards you or approach the campsite in any way.
Okay.
And your watch passes.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like Volo is one of those people that like doesn't like to be interrupted when they see. They're like, let me get my full thing. I'll go first or last. If you interrupt me while I'm sleeping, oh, it's going to be grumpy time. Just sat on watch going, I always. Yeah, you shall go next.
Okay. Perception.
And that is an 18.
Okay.
Where's the track?
So, By the time we get to your watch, the sun's set. It begins to not get to, again, we're in that twilight where sun's gone, but there's still some light in the sky. You don't catch any signs, like by sight lines, of things flying. But over the 2 hours, maybe 4 or 5 times, there is like 6 wild animals over that way that started screeching. That way, something landed. Like, and again, distance, it's not like they're not approaching you, but the activity.
There is nightlife going on.
And definitely things hunting.
Yeah.
And multiple things, because we're talking the 6 wolves that just started screeching and howling over that way was a good few miles that way. The thud that happened was like a deep low, definitely somewhere over that way. Then they're not, it's not a pack of things hunting, it's like that call set everything in the mountain.
Yeah. Dinner bell just kind of rang.
That sort of vibe. But nothing approaches you.
Okay, good.
Well, we will kind of stumble up. We'll look around for about 5 minutes, and then we'll kind of wake up Dante going, it's your shift.
Give me insight. Dante, insight advantage. Because you've done a shift, you know. But you are kind of tired and a bit disoriented.
Well, yeah.
I've got -1. So 16. He rolled an 18, so
That was 21.
So I'm going to say, right, you believe him for the first 5 minutes while he wakes you up. Like, there's going to come a point when you become clear-headed and remember that only 4 hours ago you did this.
produce flame.
6 hours ago.
I'm not even joking. Produce flame and I'm throwing it.
No, 4, because his last 6 of 2 hours would be...
So
yeah, make it
You're getting hit by a produce flame. In the hole? Oh, god damn it.
I'm just waiting for that one.
Oh god.
As I see the flame, I'm going to cast on myself. Where is it?
You're absorbing elements.
Shield of Faith, so my AC is up by 2.
Is that a
It's not a
reaction?
reaction.
Damn it!
So unfortunately, the flame...
Oh, it's concentration, not reaction.
Yes.
Read the wrong.
Yeah.
So how do I? Because it just gives me damage.
So it's a
You
range
still,
spell
you
attack,
do still do a spell attack.
So it's disadvantage because we're up close.
Yeah, it is.
So you cast it on yourself.
No, you said 5 minutes. So I was getting up.
You are still in a space.
We're in a
that's
hole.
only big enough for you to be...
Oh, fair enough.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you are in close proximity. There is no
Yeah.
getting away from the fact that you were in melee.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'm going to use burning hands on myself.
That's
Actually, no, that's it. Yeah, sorry, I forgot that. Yeah, okay.
You're gonna hit all of us, you fuck.
But
Feel free to punch him, right?
You don't have to burn it,
Please
just
don't
deck
burn
it.
us all to death.
So that's a 19 plus whatever. And that's an 8. So that's probably got a miss, isn't it?
8 is going to...
Well, I don't know what my
8 plus 6.
6.
yeah,
so
that misses.
14.
Okay, so you throw it off. And to be fair, you probably dive to the side. It probably just burns off the body of the creature that's sort of...
I've gone back to sleep. I haven't even bothered saying I was like, fuck you. I'm just like, gone back to
It's not
sleep.
bothered if it hits or not.
Yeah.
Okay. But well, your ploy did not quite work as planned.
As he sleeps, I'll go, I'll rest now, Dante. And then I'll cure his wounds.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get to roll a d8.
I mean, we're having a long rest, but thanks. Like,
Yeah,
so 4.
yeah, we're having a long rest, but it's me being nice after being mean.
The immediate. Oh yeah, got them.
And you don't know if we're having a long rest. I don't know what I'm going to see on my...
That is true.
He's got
That's
you
fine.
there.
Fine.
He's got you there.
Yeah. So, what was it? Just the D8, was it?
d8 plus 3.
Okay, so I had 4, so 7.
Okay, so Bolu, anything else other than just particular watching that you wanted to do?
I will kind of just be there and weaving some more leaves onto my jacket.
Give me a perception.
I'm just throwing it out there. That's exactly how Chris would react when woken up for something a bullshit reason. He'll be like, I don't give a fuck, I'm throwing this glass bottle at you.
There goes my plans for tomorrow morning.
Perception.
Bucket of water.
9.
9.
You know, like the scale of escalation. I play that so badly.
Yeah.
Don't try that one.
It's very quiet and very still. You're almost... It's like that in the hours after the disturbance, the animals have left, and it's... Check that camera.
Mister.
It's fine. It's almost like too quiet, but obviously each you probably would have mentioned there's some hunting and stuff going on. It makes sense. It's like the quiet after all the animals are hiding or eaten or attacked, and the wyverns probably gone back if they're acting normally, taking their prey back to wherever it is they live to consume it.
We're probably going to want to know the infection spread to the
We let everyone who needs to know about this. We let the guards at the front know. Oh, just so you know, this is why this is happening.
The time passes naturally.
And then it doesn't!
It's interesting you should say this. Because Dante, you throw that flame and you roll back over. Go to sleep. As you settle back in, you fall to sleep almost slowly, but not soft, as you enter almost straight back into deep sleep. The world around fades, and first the weight's lifted off your limbs and breathe into your lungs. And you realise can't really feel your body anymore. Can't feel your skin on your arms and muscles or your bones, but you can feel the heat inside your chest. Just rising. Not burning yet, but you can feel its potential to. You stand amidst towers of glinting brass, reaching like fangs towards a summer sky. The air is hot, but still, like the moment before the storm breaks. You know this place, but you've never been here. The streets twist with elegance and symmetry, clockwork forged hums with perfect rhythm. Great chains of obsidian and gold hang across the bridges as thick as the city walls. This is definitely the Brass City. Capital of the Effete. Proud, untouched and eternal. You can see it. Almost as if you were standing up on, in Cadfesi up on the Bastion, looking down on the Crucible below. You can almost see down into the Brass City. And in the lower sections of the city, all of a sudden a plume of smoke and black fire at the city's edge. As you're watching, a panic and fear begins to well up inside you. And as you're watching this, if you imagine watching buildings explode from the top of the mountainside, as and again, that fear builds. The explosions are approaching you. As if you imagine you're stood in this tower up above everything else and watching it. And as it does, the land crumbles away into black. Almost as if reminding you of the decaying flesh you saw today. All of a sudden, a voice next to you. And you turn and see Nefertiti. You don't recognise them, but familiar feeling and bond tells you that this is Tenebriese's true form, which you actually have never seen. You've only ever seen an amalgamation of the two of you. And not like your hybrid form, the red, clean skin, muscles that, for you, whenever you transformed, it was almost like the thing inside bulging out of your body, as opposed to it in its natural. We were promised eternity, We were eternal. This is the world that ends. As you're watching, you almost see like a wave of black and red and purple begin to flow through the city. And you know within yourself, without them even saying anything, that that's the corruption itself. As it flows over a large tower that crumbles and disintegrates into nothing. And all you can do is watch. And there's this settling. As the panic starts to settle, it turns into just inevitable depression. What can we do? How do we fight this one? And as you try to move, to go and help and to fight back, your feet are fixed to the floor as if cemented in place. And as that dream doesn't subside, but almost continues to flow onwards in your fitful, dreamful state, final words you can't seem to shift from your head is, it cannot be stopped, only endured until it is over. And you wake in the morning in fits, sweats, as you can all check off a long last.
Yes.
It's a good thing you didn't successfully wake him. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got that little bit. Damn.
You wake in the morning. This morning is drier, clearer than there was the previous. There isn't the still hanging mist, and there's not that sort of wet stickiness of the dew that settled on you in the night.
Yeah.
The air seems drier in itself. And as you sort of emerge from your hole, again, the corpse of the creature still sitting there. For Eleni and even maybe Ichi. It's not decaying normally. No. And you don't think it's still corrupted, but maybe permanently altered.
Ichi's going to go get close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to... I'll start off with a divine sense.
Okay.
Celestial fiend undead.
Nothing.
Cool. Is it worth us setting up some sort of pyre?
Actually burning it.
Like
again.
burning the entirety. If a scavenger comes along and eats it, even though we've burnt out the
More than
infection.
happy to burn it. The only problem is we're surrounded by trees and we're going to set the whole thing on fire.
We can drag this body.
Earthworks around it, maybe.
We can dig a hole.
I also worry about. I mean, digging a hole is fine. I'm good for digging a hole. I just worry about.
Do we?
Burying.
Well, so I now have a lantern full of oil. We could use that to help burn it.
Mm-hmm. We can also just drag the corpse further away from the forest.
But then we're out in the open. And there's going to be smoke.
Yeah, but we burn it and then move on immediately. What are you doing? See, this is the benefit of having screens sometimes. You can...
I'll let you describe one as somebody wakes you.
I mean, I still also
Wait
have
me, I thought we were all up.
Yeah. What do you mean when touched? That's what confused me.
What they're talking about.
Oh, so they're taught... Right, okay. I got you. Okay.
So I do have this, like I said, this lantern. I've actually still got a flask of oil and I've still got some pitch. So if we want to try and set this thing on fire, because even though it's mostly burned through anyway, it's still big, isn't it? It's 10 foot square. It's like the size of this room, effectively.
Mm.
So I think it's a good idea. I am worried about the smoke it's going to create and that it might attract interest.
If we're moving on, it'll attract interest towards the smoke and the fire, not towards us.
But I think we need to almost, if we're going to do it, we set the fire and we leave.
Yeah,
No messing.
No, yeah, we go. Like, we get everything together,
If you really, really want to be careful, Eleni can do it from 100 foot.
I was just about to say that we could
fire an
set
arrow
up and
at
fire an arrow.
But this is it. I'm like, I think we need to make sure we get out of here because again, nothing might come near, but
No, I agree. I just worry about burying it because, again, if it's the
Well, I
case,
wasn't suggesting to bury it. I was saying dig a hole and then burn it in a hole. But
I'll burn it in a hole.
to stop it from setting the trees.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah.
Because I was also thinking like you could almost pile up earth around the outside like in a circle.
The
to contain
only
it.
issue with that, I'm just getting fucking sciencey now. The only thing with that is that the fire won't have enough oxygen. The fire will die.
If you leave it open, it will.
If it has to be a big wide hole, or we need a secondary excess vent for.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean like cover
Maybe
it.
someone
What I meant
who could dig
was
us a hole.
you've got this thing, just a ring of
The fire bit.
a ring of earth around the
sure.
outside.
That's nice and easy. Yeah.
So it's still open, but you've got this barrier between the grass and the trees.
Yeah, very easily done. You sort of dig the hole. I assume you sort of prep the fire and the wood and the oil.
Yeah. We use some of the trees to get kindling larger sticks, create like a pyre.
As you sort of move to sort of get the corpse, you lean in and the tail does
React
twitch.
again. That's worrying.
But interesting, Ichi, not with the same force. Like, you were there when it attacked last time. This is like, as opposed to like it, like trying to claw in. Something.
Yeah, it's still really worrying though, isn't it? It's not good. Okay, so I'm going to tick off my standard lantern. I'm going to use the oil in there. I'm going to keep the pitch, I think, because hopefully the oil is enough to...
Yeah, pitch is a whole other thing. That's not really good for cremation. That's more for... Ouch.
Slow burn.
Slow burn, yeah. We want
Okay.
a blaze.
And as soon as it gets on the pyre and lights up,
We're booking it.
Well, like I said, I think you're right. I think we set off, and from the when I can still see the last point that I can still see it.
Theoretically, Eleni can hit it from like 400, 500.
Yeah.
But even with a magic, produce flame or fireball can do 100 foot.
Yeah, and we do it from there.
Yeah. I think definitely as the fire begins to light up and you guys begin to move away, there is a small wind shift. For a moment, it's almost like a sickly sweet smell on the earth, under the smoke, like spoiled honey and ash mixed together, and a faint sound, not unlike a mother's coos, that echoes from the distant cliffs. But no sign of anybody, and nobody here. Just the bones cracking in the fire as you guys make your way further along and towards Lake Sif.
Then that might be that. If the meat starts to smell sweet, it's attracting other scavengers. It could be another way of expanding the infection. If a host of the infection dies, the body decays in a way to make the body feel more appetizing.
My thought went somewhere else. When there was a noise from over there, when this finally died, that means there's a connection.
Yeah, hive mind. Oh, yeah, because
just I summoned the.
possibly.
That was how I thought.
And we know the infection back in the underground, in the ruins, was almost like one entity.
I think it didn't do it when I killed the creature, and it didn't do it when Dante's fire went through it. It did it now. So the fire has stopped the infection and it's sort of destroyed the infection in the body, but there's obviously still something there that's connected.
Well, when did the thing make the noise? He didn't make noise until...
Liam just said just now.
Oh, just now.
Literally just now.
Something else. Something softly towards the mountain. It was almost like the sad calls of something calling from the mountain.
So if that is the timing of it, it could be coincidence. But that makes me wonder if we've now finally got rid of whatever it was, and something else knows that that's finally died.
But also, oh shit.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that means that everyone that we've healed back in the city isn't healed. It just means that the infection isn't, because you cauterized, you burnt it out. But if that is where the infection dies, is when the body is gone, that means everyone that we've helped back in the city isn't cured yet.
What I will say from a medicine perspective, everybody in the city has been affected outwards in.
Okay.
This thing.
Okay. All right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. That's yeah.
When you burn and cauterize, you're like taking the top layer of skin almost,
and that's
where the infection
is.
However,
this gives you.
I am going to ask Volu straight away and say we need to tell Arkana.
I'll send Arkana a message just relaying what we've found. Yeah.
So what would you like to say?
Do you want to write it down?
So
just 25 words off the cuff.
Just off the cuff, mate. It's all good.
I feel like Volu was a really off the cuff person though.
No, it's very planned and thought.
It's not an Archie.
Well, look at this position right here. Look at this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, you're ready to eat with a knife and fork.
Just outside the Mornell Peaks, wyvern activity increased. Infection is present.
About halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sting of wyvern seems to bury infection deeper. Different effects. Cause for concern.
Cause for?
Concern is where I'm capped.
No, 4 was. Cause
Yeah,
4.
cause 4, and then concern would be past the cap.
Yeah.
It would be.
So, not cause for concern.
Could just say concerned.
Concerning results.
Okay. There's a pause before. Yes, that does sound quite concerning. We will check in with those we have healed. Things seem stable here at the moment.
Because I was counting, I wasn't actually paying that much attention to what was actually said. But did you say that about the big wyvern?
No, he didn't.
Not about the size, but the wyvern sting.
He just said the wyvern sting. He said the wyvern had been. They found a dead wyvern.
Wyvern activity,
Yeah.
infection present,
Mm.
stinger seems to push berry deeper, the corruption deeper.
Okay.
And then I suggest we get moving.
Yeah. It was like that. Shot the arrow, started walking, heard the cry, and we were just kind of like stopped in our tracks and went, what does that mean? Continue walking.
Okay. Over the next course of the day, you move carefully, being sure to keep an eye on the mountains and for any signs. There are a few moments where, not because it's approaching necessarily, but there is a silhouette closer than you would like. And in this open plains, 4 or 5, and technically 6 creatures, because you've got the 2 dogs as well, moving across that open space is blatant from up there. So there's a few moments where you do sort of like, we're just going to hold her. And you sit for 10 minutes and just let it pass. And then like, cool, let's go again. But nothing approaches. Nothing really seems to... nothing seems to approach you directly. But again, the closer and closer you get to Lake Sif, the more the lack of animals becomes apparent. It's like that entirely opposing thing. The closer you get to the lake, you should see way more.
Yeah.
You should be seeing more tracks. You should be seeing larger herds. You should be seeing a water source of this size should be bringing in creatures.
That's probably the main hunting ground now, or the wyvern.
Yeah.
Because they said they're more over towards Lake Sif.
Mhm.
The guard even said, "Oh yeah, there's fuck tons."
Yeah.
By mid-afternoon, the air grows colder, a little bit cleaner even. And though untouched by stone and magic, the land ahead begins to slope downwards slowly but steadily, as if the earth begins sort of like there's this large dip in the earth. And as you crest over the gentle rise, you get the first signs of glimmering sunlight off the water of Lake Sif. It stretches out in silence, a vast glassy surface. Surrounding the lake are like shards of pale stone. If you imagine it's like a slate beach style, rather than it's not sand or even dirt. It's almost like pieces of the mountain chipped away and over time have collected in this space. There's almost like a mirror laid on the land itself. And as you look out, the lake is still. No waves, no ripples. Even the wind in this area seems to hush. As you get a bit closer, you start to see there are actually some more standing like stones. Some are smooth and spiraled or worn down like bone. Others more jagged, as if they grew there overnight. As you sort of get close to one of these, I'd say Volu, and maybe Dante, there is a soft energy from them. Not like, it almost reminds you of Zikar. When you found that unprocessed Zikar that hadn't been enchanted, but still almost hummed with a potential. It's like that almost. And I'd say that for Volu, they're almost like ancient seer stones. So it's like if you were like natural magic that have been placed to. For Volu, you think there's maybe a ley line here, and that these were placed to enhance the natural magic in the area, as opposed to like that stone radiates magic. It's not that. It's almost like for those that are magically knowledgeable. It's like if you place these in specific points and arrange them right and maybe connect them by lines underneath the ground, that will enhance just generally doing magic in this vicinity will be more powerful, is almost more in tuned. In the distance, you can see that the lake curves almost inwards like a crescent moon. And you can see an old pair of stone columns that are almost fully submerged. Almost gives the impression that there was something built here at one point. And they're like just the last remnants poking out at the furthest reaches of the lake. And just beyond that, you can see a tent bearing a white flag out in the open. And a singular figure moving around it. Now this is 400 foot that way.
I would straight away be
Telescope.
Yeah.
Gonna have a little closer look.
As you take a closer look, I don't know if you've ever seen a satyr. There is a half humanoid.
You might have done. Yeah.
There is a half humanoid. Well, so as you look, you would see the humanoid, and actually from this distance, it's almost like they're wearing fluffy pants, almost as if you got like fur-lined pants. You know, like if you literally chopped up an animal and made some pants out of the actual fur and leathers, and didn't. It's like that from this distance.
Some person's wearing some goat leg trousers over there.
And as you sort of focus in, you also see
Do they
maybe
also have horns by any chance?
You confirm, yeah?
Yeah, they're wearing some horns. Must be going to like a party or something.
What? Are satyrs in from our
Plane.
plane?
No.
Careful, mate. Not from our plane. I feel like our plane is a bit stretched for me to say anymore.
Yeah. Your plane. So I would say
Kind of like I'm cross-referencing like probably old pictures that I've seen
you
like
have
drawn.
heard of satyrs.
Yeah.
You have had them described to you. It's about as close as you've ever seen one.
I don't know. I expected more goat, really. I kind of like passed the telescope over to Volu, like just to get someone who has seen one in person before, like to confirm.
I'll be looking and seeing if it is a specific satyr.
Hard to tell about the specifics from this distance, but you actually are more recognising the tent material.
Okay.
If you imagine that Tanabori's squad. So, because again, if you imagine there's like, so Tanabori owns her own little section of the forest. And when you go to big meetings of the elven princes and such, you set up over there with a specific colour. That is where Tanabori's people stay. And it's very like, you're not supposed to just go wandering over where the black tents are. You're not supposed to just go wandering because you're part of our group. It's that colour tent.
Okay.
And it's almost like almost like an off. And the satyr themselves seems very relaxed, moving around. They've got a bit of a campfire going, something turning something on a spit.
Everything okay?
Typical Kanda. Good passive activity.
Kanda?
Yeah,
Wasn't Canada the furball?
no, but she likes to exaggerate things. He likes to exaggerate things.
They like to exaggerate things.
Yeah, I was trying to remember, are they non-binary? I can't remember, but they're,
More of a more gender fluid than non-binary.
yeah. I think we can safely head over there.
Yeah.
That's very familiar ground for me.
Do you say you think that's Kanda?
No, it's not Kanda, but they look similar. They look familiar.
Oh, okay, sure. If you're confident.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be clear, so to remind, just in case Paul's forgotten, Kanda isn't a furball. That is how they travel the material.
I was saying, if I remember my first conversation, she is.
They are.
They are a satyr. Yeah. That's what I was remembering. Yeah.
It is just
They just
that
disguise
satyrs
themselves a lot.
satyrs aren't known on this
No,
plane wide.
Yeah.
They look like a furball when we met them in the
Yes,
Yeah,
guys
they
have
just-
only
yeah.
met them as a
Yeah.
furball.
Yeah. That's what I was like in my head. I was like, do I just play it coy or do I say?
Yeah.
It was just like, aren't they a furbolg? Well, and then that was the last thing you said. I was like, what?
Okay. Are you all approaching?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
approaching any
Yeah.
specific way? Does anybody
Just
want to
I
prep
think
anything,
following
or-
Volu's lead, really.
I'm
Kind of
still
just trim
slightly off
across
to
the
the
lake,
side in case I need to.
And as you get closer, Kanda will notice. Give a joyful wave over, more to the group. Obviously, remembering that your last encounter wasn't the most pleasant. There's almost for Volu that insight of like really happy that you actually showed up. Do you know what I mean? Like they were fully expecting to sit here for a week, no one turn up, and then have to go back to Tanabori and say Volu's absconded, right? So there's almost like a ooh, and then they're like,
They did it.
yes, and they're like searching around like do something, look busy, and then like run off and like trying to look casually, turning the spit like they haven't just waved at you.
I'm like, we're in an area surrounded by wyverns hunting for food at some point, and they are there with food on a spit, almost like come and get it.
Yeah.
Although as you approach, first
chill
off,
person.
lots and lots of the Fae are vegetarian. Kanda is not different. He's like roasting peppers and
Okay.
nuts and other things like that. But
Yeah.
it's they don't really hunt like that. But also, what I will say is, as you enter, and as you all enter, you're washed with almost like this serene calm. And for Volu, it is the same energy that permeates all of Tanabori's residences. There's almost this just natural, like, if you are mad, it's like so hard to keep being mad about it. And you know that this is a little bit of the defences that Tanabori has in place, but also almost like a little touch of the Fae. There are areas of the Fae that play on your emotions. You can walk into areas and become increasingly infuriated by everybody around you. By the same measure, some of the more powerful Fae seek out places of calm and tranquility to make their homes. It seems like a piece of this is leaking through. And as that wave washes over you, Volu, for almost maybe a familiar sense, however that makes you feel in this moment, that is where we are going to end this very, very special live session. Woo! Thank you very much for joining us. Honestly, it's been really, really amazing. I have loved playing in person. I'm going to have to do it a lot more now.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing as always. If you want to find out what's going to happen next, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. And as always, roll well. In 20 minutes.